So when the visuals came into our newsrooms on the 10th of May, we got updates that the Sargodha airbase was hit. There were 6 videos that came into our newsrooms. I want to play out some of the videos before I go across to Group Captain Augustine. Vinoth has been a fighter pilot with the Indian Air Force. He's written a very detailed article on what happened at the Kirana Hills, about 9 to 10 kilometers from the Sargodha airbase, the Mushaf airbase. But first, take a look at these videos. To put it in context, first video captured by a resident of Sargodha. Take a look. Group Captain Augustine Vinoth, something happened at the Mushaf airbase, right? We hit the airstrip. There are 2 satellite images. I'm playing the satellite images now. 2 points of the airstrip were hit, but this is one of the most critical air bases for Pakistan in their nuclear doctrine. What really happened from your understanding here?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I've written is there is, like you, I also heard chatter on the open source as well as on the news channels and the news channels abroad. So there are more than adequate amount of chatter that is happening all over the world, talking about what happened in Kirana Hills. So that is why I sort of put it as the ghosts of Kirana Hills, because it remains a ghost till the time some concrete thing comes out of from Pakistan, either through open sources or otherwise. The videos that you put out, Niranjan, I mean, first of all, it is not AI generated video. It is a video some citizen has filmed it, and it is very clear from the streak and the sound that it is something which is an engine driven, A. B, it is something which is high speed, and C, it has come like a, in a vertical kind of a dive. So piecing all together, one can make out that the base of the hill has been stuck. Now, the next cut to the question that the journalist asked, Phillips asked our DG Air Ops, and where he said, thanks for telling that there is something in Kirana Hills and we don't know. And the manner in which he said, and the post saying the mannerism and everything, people are reading between the lines. So did I. So based on those things and based on irrefutable evidence, I mean, they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words, and probably a video speaks even 1,000 more. So looking at those videos and looking at those chatter and looking at the way the question was asked and answered, is why I'm getting a feeling that something was stuck. A. B, there is also a video which is floating around where the veracity of which needs to be verified, floating around where they say some people have been probably evacuated. How far it is true, again, remains to be seen. The level to which Pakistan can go to hide such an information is very, very high. So us expecting something out of Pakistan is a long shot. But I'll tell you one more thing. Something like this cannot be hidden. It cannot be hidden for a long time. You can't hide it. The telltale marks are like stands out like a sore thumb. So we will probably in a couple of days know. But the aspect, Niranjan, is that we need to understand is what if it happens tomorrow? So that is what I've covered in the article. What if it happens? There are 3 possible scenarios. And the worst case is it is lying west of us. And the winds are westerly in the northern hemisphere mostly, and especially during winters. So if anything happens, then it is not a good, it won't be a good news for us either. So All that put together, we have to keep our eyes and ears on the ground and find out what has gone wrong and take remedial measures accordingly. So that is what has been covered loud and clear.
So here's what we'll do. So I've played out one video where a person can be heard
Mm.
clearly saying, "Kirana pe
Mhm.
strike hua hai." Now, right, I can see hills in the background.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know whether it's a fake video, it's a generated video, it's a video from the open source. There's another video, right? A missile comes straight, strikes the area, right?
True.
And then there are four other videos showing that it happened at Sargodha. You know, people are saying Sargodha Airbase hai, Sargodha Airbase hai, Sargodha Airfield pe ho gaya hai, Sargodha. Four videos.
Mm.
I'm playing out these videos now, one after the other. Right? Let's play them out.
सरगोदा कैंट एरिया है, ये एयरबेस है। तो अल्लाह करे और लग रहा है कि हो गया सरगोदा कैंट।
किराना पहाड़ी ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਗੇ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਮਜ਼ਾਕ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋਇਆ ਉਹ ਦੂਜਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ
घर के ऊपर खड़ा हूँ, ये सामने अभी अभी धमाका हुआ है, अभी अभी ये देखिए धुआं उठ रहा है यहाँ से, अभी अभी धमाका हुआ है, ये आप देख सकते हैं, अभी अभी धमाका हुआ है।
वो ये सामने धमाका हुआ है, एयरबेस में हुआ है, एयरबेस के अंदर, एयरबेस के अंदर धमाका, एयरबेस के अंदर धमाका हुआ है, ये देखो अभी अभी।
You see the videos. Now, we don't know how many strikes there were, but the forces went on record to say that we had struck the Mushaf Air Base. Now, that's the extent to which they've gone. Now, we've had a very interesting statement come in from the Ministry of External Affairs when a question was asked, saying it's up to Pakistan. MEA said, the spokesperson for the MEA said, it's up to Pakistan to speak on the issue and to clarify whether something like this had been struck or did it happen, we don't know, saying it's up for them. It's up to them to speak. Now, let me come straight to the point. Pakistan is in a dilemma. They can't accept that their nuclear program has been struck a blow, right? What happens if, let's say, the Kirana Hills base was struck, or let's say the Sargodha Air Base on its periphery had an installation which seemed like was connected to the underground. On the periphery, seemed like the same structures with underground entrances, bunkers, similar structure, the Kirana Hills, similar structure, Sargodha, 8 kilometers apart. Imagine there were tunnels in between connecting them. And imagine, you know, we simply struck the airport and there was some structural damage to their nuclear program. What happens in such a case?
That's a good question. See, I'll tell you something. The way nuclear fuel and nuclear warhead is stored, something which is like a single weapon cannot really do much of damage. So it's really, I mean, not only Pakistan, anywhere in the world, it is stored in a place where you have to really do a lot of damage to hit the fuel. So one weapon doing a damage to fuel or spent fuel stored in drums, I don't know what is stored there, but I mean, it is more than certain something nuclear is stored there. A single weapon doing a damage is next to impossible. But the mouth was stuck makes it not reusable in the near future. That is something that is very, very clear. Did we, go for that target just because a day prior we heard something like a earthquake, which I have put a question mark over that particular earthquake. If you remember, post Pokhran 2, these guys did the tests and trials again, where such earthquake was reported, and later on they claimed it was a test that they did, a horizontal test that they did. Nawaz Sharif, I remember very clearly, came on the TV and he confessed that it was a test we did. We didn't do it vertically, we did it in a horizontal kind of a tunnel. So that is why that earthquake to me is also, Niranjan, is a very big question mark. First of all, because of the location. Second of all, because of the yield to which the earthquake was measured, like 5.4 or something like that. And the third, because of the timing. So that also I put a question mark. So all these pieces that I'm putting together, like any other well-informed person, not because I was in uniform and stuff like that. I'm just using my informed logic, like anyone would. I mean, I did a PhD in that subject, so I'm supposed to know much more than anyone on that particular subject. So with that as the background, I put together this particular piece where I have not gone ahead and questioned the ghost of the Kirana Hill, but I've gone ahead and suggested, if this happens, what, and if this happens, what, and if this happens, what. But Niranjan, my worry is, you know what? What if, and it is possible, what if Pakistan is really stupid to not secure it so well that even one weapon could hurt the storage? Is it possible? That's a question I'm asking myself. And looking at the stupidity of the Pakistanis and stupidity of Pakistan mind and the rampant corruption that is there in the Pakistani Fauj, it is possible that they have not stored it correctly or stored it close to mouth, or they were probably in the process of getting it out is the time we hit them. I mean, absolutely bang on at the correct time. Mathematically, very close to impossible, but the possibility exists because of the reason that I cited. What if that was the time? I mean, exactly, right place, right time. And right place, right time with right intelligence is it's not something that can't be done. It is not something that countries have not done in the past, and it is not something that can't be done in the future. So these are three things that stands out, Niranjan, loud and clear, like a sore thumb. You know, हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, बिना आग के धुआं नहीं है. एंड ये धुआं जो है हम नहीं पूछ रहे हैं या हम नहीं लगा रहे हैं. इंटरनेशनल मीडिया सवाल कर रही है इस धुएं पे. There are, senior historians asking such questions. So we are not the only ones, Niranjan and Augustine, sitting here and asking this question. We are only trying to, find how the jigsaw puzzle is fitting together when there is so much of smoke and hubbub around this particular question of Kirana Hills. Oh, again, like I said, time will tell. And I hope everything is fine. Brings me to the last point, which I wanted to say was, it is time we strip this particular country of this particular capability, because I don't think they're going to handle it responsibly. In the interest of this blue planet, the only home we have to strip this country of this capability.
Yeah. So, if a layman's perspective, you ask any Indian out there whether he or she will be happy with the fact that so-called nuclear nation Pakistan has been stripped of its nuclear capabilities, they will of course laud our forces, right? They'll all applaud and say, well done, right? But there's much more to this, because see, as far as Kirana Hills is concerned, and I'm reading out a few pointers from the last few decades in this location, and there's been so much of global chatter around this location, right? We know this is why Pakistan panicked. This was it. This was the final blow that panicked everyone, right? Now,
Not only Pakistan.
Yeah, not just Pakistan, even America, right? And everyone else who was watching on the sidelines, right?
Yeah.
Now, Kirana Hills has seen defense laboratories and tests between the years 1983 to 1995. In 83, there was a critical experiment, but not true full-scale nuclear weapon testing. And then, in the years that passed by, they linked the Sargodha airbase to this nuclear program. Boring and tunnel operations were then carried out. Army engineers were working on relocating different, laboratories to this particular region. Diagnostics tests working on a nuclear weapon device that reportedly began here in the 80s and in the 90s. and there was a merger eventually with the Pakistan Air Force base Mushaf. Now, that's the critical aspect. The Clinton administration was continuously monitoring this region, is what we have heard. Right? US was always interested in this region. They were always monitoring this region. And interestingly, US intervened after America panicked, went to them and said, hey, we are getting hammered. This is what is happening. Please help us. Now, there is some report of a US B-350 AMS nuclear safety aircraft flying over Pakistan to check radiation levels. That's what the open source intel or reports, right? Conspiracy theorists, I don't know what to call them, but there are these reports. But it's all adding up.
True. See, Nanjan, couple of things. Firstly, we are only trying to piece the chatter together. We are not trying to add to existing conspiracy theory. A. B. All these historical aspects I've covered in this particular article as much as I can, given the length of the article. I didn't want to become too lengthy, but maybe I can write more. But the aspect is very clear. This was a place which was dug in secrecy, dug during in complete, quote unquote, darkness. So there were lot of enigma attached to this particular location till the history. I mean, people know the history till someone uncovered it. It may have been India, and things started going south for them. America, like you correctly said, intervened and they had to merge it with the Mushak Air Base. But the aspect still is very, very alive is the security and the procedure. These are two things that I am really, really, really worried about. Security, if the chatter that is there is true, if this particular aircraft which flew to check the radiation level is indeed true, if the other chatter that an aeroplane from Egypt came with all the boron, which is supposed to, sort of reduce the fallout, as even if it is a
Plug the
very
leak.
low yield fallout, or they plug the leak, if it is true. Or another question, I mean, I asked this question to many amongst the academia who were part of the team when I was researching this subject, is could it have been a warhead of a TNW, tactical nuclear weapon? Then tactical nuclear weapon, what happens is the warhead is different and the yield is different because it is supposed to be localized, 10, 15 kilometers. And the TNW, which Pakistanis have, can be carried on a missile called Raad, which is an air-launched missile, and then another missile called Babar. All this is there in my PhD research. So Raad and Babar can carry this warhead. And it is localized to 10, 15 kilometers. Of course, that 10, 15 kilometers, Niranjan, cannot be used for 100,000 or 2,000, 5,000 years down the road because it will have a low yield radiation level, which could be poisonous to man or beast for time immemorial, certainly in your and my grandchildren's lifetime. But it is localized. So could it have been a TNW warhead? That is a question I ask myself because that is also stored in that area closer to Kirana Hills or at Kirana Hills because that is where it can move out close, like you said correctly, 9 kilometers from the base, mated with the delivery mechanism, which is an aeroplane or a drone. In fact, they even converted a drone to deliver it, the tactical nuclear weapon, the RADs and stuff. So a lot of questions are there, which is why this strike was, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back. Because after this, all hell broke loose all over, not only US. I mean, the hell broke loose much more than probably we even imagined. So the entire deck of cards just fell down. And in matter of minutes, things were changing. The scenario was changing. In matter of minutes, these guys came on their knees, and in matter of minutes, thankfully, some large world forces got involved.
What is
Now,
America's
I
interest?
shudder.
In your view, what is America's interest here?
Good question. If you look at the happenings of the world, America, I mean, post breakup of USSR, America willy-nilly took on the mantle of being the big brother of the world. I think because if that is not the reason, America's involvement, like JD Vance said, it's fight between them, and we are not interested. If that was true,
It's none
they
of our
wouldn't have got in.
business. He said it's none of our business. Those were his words. It's none of our business.
Our business, and yet who announced the truce? Yet who announced the ceasefire? If it was not in your interest, so your boss announced announced the ceasefire, isn't it? It is not neither Pakistan or India. He said, I've spoken to both of them and they have agreed to cease fire. If none of your interest, why did you speak to both of them? Isn't it?
Yeah.
So he spoke to both of them because something forced him to speak. And that something is what Niranjan and Augustine are trying to decode. Given the videos, chatters, and the evidence that is staring at us from the TV screen right now. That is what we are trying to put to give some kind of logic to it, and B, trying to give some kind of closure to it.
I saw a very funny picture before coming into this interview of Shehbaz Sharif going to a forward base, a copycat so-called prime minister. I mean, he's not really the prime minister because we know the real prime minister there is Mullah Munir. But this copycat Shehbaz Sharif went to a forward base reportedly and said, I am personally a witness to the way General Asim Munir prepared for any potential war against India, blah, blah, blah. And you know how he went there? He went on a jeep. You know why he went on a jeep? Because the flights couldn't land there. Because we had destroyed their airstrip.
Airstrip.
Yeah, you've been a fighter pilot. Now tell me, sir, now if we've struck 11 of those bases, right? What is the kind of damage we're talking about? We've destroyed many of their air defense radars, air defense capabilities. How many years or how long will it take for Pakistan to recover from this?
Good question, Niranjan. In fact, I was on the other channel talking about it the other day. See, okay, and this is for the understanding of viewers who watch this show. Before you start operations, first of all, nation's air defense is always ready. I don't know how many people know this. All along the Indian borders, fighter pilots are fully kitted, aeroplanes are fully armed and ready all the time. That is called ORP, or Operational Readiness Platform. I have done that duty 3 months in a row, 56 days. I remember very, very clearly. In a row, I have done that duty. We are all the time on guard as with regards to Pakistan. Air defense, that is a shield. That 3 months ago, I spoke in one of the channels. I said, if your air defense is weak, you might as well hand over your country on a platter to your enemy country, which is exactly Pakistan did. Niranjan, sadly. They're calling themselves a professional army and a professional air force. What good is your air force when with impunity, Indian Air Force penetrated your borders, hit 11 of your base, you could do nothing? I mean, anyone worth his salt, हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, चुल्लू पर पानी में डूब मर गए होंगे अब तक. It is as simple as that. 11 bases struck. So many runways destroyed. So many aeroplanes destroyed. So many hangars destroyed. And you still want to call yourself Air Force? If I was, Mr. Sidhu, Babar Sidhu, I would have resigned by now. And Babar Sidhu, I believe, is only interested in golfing and whiskey. And rest of the people are only handling, the Pakistani armed forces. That is how they call themselves. 25 minutes? I mean, what kind of air defense do you have? Laughable. And as opposed to whatever you threw at us, our air defense took it on, including a ballistic missile aimed at Delhi, taken out over Sirsa. So imagine. That's what I wanted to explain it to the viewers. There's something called air control, which the Air Force first establishes over enemy territory. Air control has various levels, okay? So the least air control you can provide for any operations, including Army and Navy. So what Air Force does is, it gives us some kind of a assurance to the Army and Navy that you can go ahead with the operations without enemy air forces interjecting or spoiling your operations much. They can, but not much. So how much they can is the level of air control. So the least, Niranjan, is called favorable air situation. The first thing Air Force does is, in next 7 hours, I'll provide you a favorable air situation for X amount of time. In that time, Navy and Army can carry out their operations. Okay. Now, how will I provide that favorable air situation? By taking out his eyes and ears, and by taking out his weapon, which can get launched from the runway. And that is exactly what it. Copy book, quote unquote. If someone wants to download the doctrine of Indian Air Force, they can download and see. We did something called DEAD, not CAD, DEAD. DEAD, also called DEAD. Destruction of enemy air defense. We did SIAD also. SIAD is suppression of enemy air defense. Suppression is using jammers. Destruction is physically taking them out. Okay? So we destroyed their air defense by taking out their radars, by taking out their, you go back to what Marshall said, C2 centers. So we first blinded them and made them deaf. Second is you cut off their limbs. How do you cut off their limbs? Take out the aeroplane and take out the strip in which the aeroplane can take off from. If you put out the image of Sargodha, those critical juncture of 2 runways, we had one strike. Another strike 1/3 way up the runway. Sargodha, in our opinion, should have been down for not more than 6 hours, okay? Because in 6 hours, you have something equivalent to a military engineering service, we call it the MES. They come up and use a quick drying cement and bajri and stuff like that and make the runway at least operational to some extent. But lo and behold, Niranjan, it's been a week. They are not able to repair the runway, which they're supposed to do it in 7 hours. Leads to what? Leads to Sharif going on a jeep to a place. He can't fly down. How sad. That is the kind of repair facility you have. And you call yourself an Air Force? I think you should call yourself an armed forces, like they call themselves. That is why I've written that.
It's a joke. It's a joke, and I'll leave it at this because, the story is still evolving. This Sargodha base, and I'll end with this. This Sargodha base we're talking about is home to 9 Squadron Griffins, 23 Squadron Talons, 24 Squadron Blinders, 29 Aggressor Squadron, CCS JF-17 Fierce Dragons of Pakistan, CCS Mirage Sky Bolts of Pakistan, 82 CS Squadron Stallions, all the Hercules there, whatever little they had left are here, and they were in one strike rendered ineffective. And I loved the way our DG Air Ops answered that question whether we had hit them in Kirana Hills. I'm ending it with that. Group Captain Augustine, Vinoth, thank you for joining us on this broadcast. Listen in first to what DG Air Ops said. It's exactly why the Prime Minister said, we will not tolerate nuclear blackmail anymore. Take a look at this.
कोई भी न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल भारत नहीं सहेगा। न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की आड़ में पनप रहे आतंकी ठिकानों पर भारत सटीक और निर्णायक प्रहार करेगा।
So the social media, the Twitter is abuzz with the fact that we hit a site called Kirana Hills, which is supposed to be the nuclear storage facility. And there is a lot of rumors about Sargodha. There are foreign analysts who've mentioned that the Sargodha attack led to certain leaks. is there a confirmation that we actually hit Kirana Hills, or we were careful of not to do any such thing? Thank you.
Thank you for telling us that Kirana Hill houses some nuclear installation. We did not know about it. Okay. And we've not hit Kirana Hills, whatever is there. Okay. I did not brief in my briefing yesterday. Thank you.